Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. I am your host, Carolyn Mills. Today we'll be looking at Cheers Season 1, Episode 21, Showdown Part 1. This is the penultimate episode of Season 1. This episode first aired on March 24th, 1983. It was directed by James Burrows. It was written by Glenn Charles, Les Charles, and James Burrows. Guest cast includes George Ball as Derek Malone, Deborah Shelton as Debbie, Alan Kloss as Alan, Paul Vaughn as Paul, and John Ratzenberger as Cliff Clavin. Cheers is filmed in front of a live studio audience, was said by Rhea Perlman. So let's look at our summary. In the cold open, Diane turns the TV to an opera by Wagner. Coach says, I hope they don't use that canned laughter. For those of you who do not know the term of canned laughter, that is the fake laughter you hear in non-live studio audiences. And the reason they announced Cheers is filmed in front of a live studio audience is because they the Charles brothers and James Burrows were getting, I was going to say emails, that was before emails, letters, and things from fans saying, you need to turn down your canned laughter. We can't hear what's going on. And it was actually the audience itself that was that loud. But people didn't realize that. They thought that the canned laughter was just up way too high. So that's why they started announcing it. Diane tells him it's not a comedy, and explains the opera to them. Norm says the same story was on Scooby-Doo. Norm Peterson is clearly a very big Scooby-Doo fan because there's another episode, I don't remember which season, but he talks about something that Scooby-Doo told Scrappy-Doo. So he tends to use Scooby-Doo in his stories quite often. Well, at least twice. But he's clearly a Scooby-Doo fan. Cliff says, the dog sang a little better. Great line. Diane tells them she puts up with all their sporting events and it's time for them to return the favor. She asks them to give it 10 minutes. They agree, and then pretend they've fallen asleep from boredom. Diane tells them, culture is wasted on you. Oxygen is wasted on you. They decide to give it one more try after Diane goes into the back. So they turn it on again. The opera lady sings one note, and they immediately turn it off. Where everybody knows your name plays. Coach is on the phone. Sam tells him he's going into the back to check on the wine. He asks Diane to join him, saying it's quiet, empty, and dimly lit. She tells him that she was told a dog's bark is worse than its bite, and he asks her if it's biting that she's into. Diane is concerned that his lines work on women who are allowed to vote and drive cars. As they leave, Carla tells the customers near where they were, Fred and Ginger are taking a little break, but they'll be back to nauseate you later on. Carla has some really good lines in this episode. Oh, and if again, culture reference, for those of you who are younger and may not know who Fred and Ginger are, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers were dancers, and often they danced together in movies. Coach gets off the phone with Eddie. He tells the others that Eddie offered him a job coaching in Venezuela if he can learn Spanish. He says baseball is simpler than real life. Cliff asks Coach if he knows any Spanish, and Coach says he's learned a few phrases like, how tall is my dentist, and is that really your sister? Just enough to get by. I laughed, I laughed when I first saw this episode years ago, and I always laugh at these sentences that he learned, how tall is my dentist? But it made me laugh even more now because I use the Duolingo app, which is amazing. You should check it out if you like to learn languages. I really like it. Some people don't. But anyway, when I was doing one of the French lessons, it asked me to translate the phrase, am I a horse? So I thought, yeah, that's kind of that type of a line. So it made me laugh even more. Diane gets off the phone and tells them it was Sam's brother. Carla says she didn't know Sam had a brother. She asks Coach if he knew, and Coach says that he knew Sam had a brother and that Sam hates him. Diane Diane says that Sam's brother Derek is coming to Cheers, and someone has to tell Sam. Coach says he'll do it because he's good at breaking bad news. And of course, he does that by saying something worse. Diane tells Sam that she took the call. She told Derek that Sam was there, not knowing Sam didn't like his brother. Sam asks Diane into his office. He says he used to have an inferiority complex when it came to his brother. I love that Sam can use phrase like inferiority complex incorrectly when he's supposed to be the dumb one. I'm still convinced Sam is not as dumb as everyone thinks. I think he just sometimes played dumb because I think a lot of times, especially because jocks were known, a lot of people think that if you're a jock, you cannot have brains. You can't be brainy and jockey. I'll make jockey's word, but you guys know what I mean. Um, so I think he played towards that, but at the same time, I don't think he was really as dumb as he seemed. And I don't think Coach was dumb, totally unrelated. I think Coach was naive. Same with Woody. Just my take on it. So he shows Diane a picture of Derek, and Diane says, "Wow." And then says Derek is a very good looking guy. It'd be even better if he had his two front teeth because Sam had blackened them out. Oh, I just said, yeah. Sam says that he was blacked out. He did it when he had a problem. That's when he blacked the teeth out. But he explains that he didn't get help. He just, from like a psychiatrist or self-help book, he just told himself, my brother's no better than I am. He tells her Derek is an international lawyer and makes 50 to 60 grand a year. Diane tells him they make 10 times that much. Sam tells her Derek had to buy his own plane because he travels so much. He says that Derek is better than him in everything and is perfect. Diane says that it sounds like a younger brother idealizing his older siblings. And then Sam blacks out another tooth because he says that'll help. Coach comes in and tells Sam a nuclear bomb hit Boston. And this one also made me laugh because if a nuclear bomb hit a city, the entire city is going to know. The entire city's probably going to be gone. So I thought that was kind of a weird choice for him to use, but I mean, that's Coach. So for him, it made sense. Sam and Diane look at each other and say, Derek's here. Coach says they're catching on. Sam tells Diane not to worry about him, and he explains that when Derek is in a room, he feels invisible. Diane says he has no reason to feel like that. They leave the office, and Derek is singing, and he has an amazing voice. I was trying to see if he was on Broadway at all because he had such a great voice, being an actor and all. But when I went to the I Internet Broadway database (IBDB), um, I typed in his name. His name came up, but there's like I couldn't click on it. But it seemed like a link, so I don't know if it was just not working. But so I kind of wonder if he might have been on Broadway because it seems like he has that quality voice that he might be a theatrical singer or have done opera itself. Obviously, because yeah, amazing voice. All right, so back to the show. Sam and Diane look at each other. Oh, sorry, I read that already. I lost my place. Okay, Diane is captivated by Derek's voice. The people in the bar applaud, and Norm says, "Get this man a beer, please." Diane turns and crashes into Sam. She apologizes and says, I didn't see you. And then she looks back, realizing what she said to the poor guy who just told her he feels invisible when his brother's around. Everyone but Sam is now in the back room, the pool room there, with Derek. Norm goes back to the bar room and gets a beer. Sam asks where his waitresses are. Norm says he didn't have the heart to pull them away from Derek doing trick pool shots. He asks if Sam knows what to get Derek as a gift because Derek just got him a job. And if you remember, last episode he said he was no longer looking. He's now begging for a job because he's been out of work for so long. So one day this guy's gotten him a job. Cliff comes out to get Norm because Derek is going to tap dance. Two people come into the bar and Norm tells them a rich guy is going to tap dance in the pool room. They all rush back and you can hear the tapping. Carla comes out and tells Sam that Derek is good looking. She compares his eyes to Windex. I love Carl's comparison there. Diane can be heard laughing. Carla says it sounds like the stick lady is having a good time, and Sam says it sounds like chickens are being killed back there. Sam says Derek always has to have the spotlight, and Carla says she has a sister like that and has her beat in every way. She's 5'2", her husband never drinks before noon, and she's a beautician. Sam asks Carla if Diane likes Derek. Carla says, I'll pass her a note in gym. I love Carla's frustration with the whole Sam Diane thing. Not only does she not like Diane, but she's frustrated because they sound like they're in high school. So that's why she makes the comment, of course. And yeah, Carla's just awesome. This She tells Sam that he has become a big weenie since Diane started working there. She calls him a dink, a wimp, a thread, a loser. I've never heard thread as an insult, but I figured it out from the rest of the context. Carla tells him he is on his way to the Hounds Hall of Fame. Sam says that maybe Diane is playing hard to get, but for him that meant sitting through dinner. Carla tells him that if he can't get Diane, no one can. Sam asks her about his brother, and she says, in a minute. But then she assures Sam that Derek has better taste. Coach comes to the bar speaking into the bar room speaking Spanish. Sam asks him if he learned Spanish in one day. He tells him in Spanish, but I translate it into English. Not entirely. The subjunctive tense is very difficult. He asks Sam if he wants to go to the back, but Sam does not want to be back there with his brother. Coach returns to the back, and Diane comes into the bar room. She is chuckling. Sam asks her for her order. She tells him that Derek is not so great. Then she comes to then she says when it comes to Derek, he's like any man you might meet in Greek mythology. I had two thoughts about this. One, obviously, if you read Greek mythology, there's a lot of good-looking guys like Apollo and whatnot. But at the same time, most of the men were kind of jerks. So I don't think that's the best thing to compare somebody to. But I realize she's referring to the looks, not the characters. She offered to cover the bar, but again, Sam does not want to be back there. Everyone comes out with Derek, who's unseen. And I'm trying to figure, I'm not completely sure since George Brawl's credited, but you never actually see him. I mean, even Vera occasionally, while you never saw Vera's face as Vera, Burnett Peakers actually plays another character before before playing Vera. But you never see her as Vera. There's the episode with the pie. We'll get to another time. Don't give away too much. And you occasionally see her legs or whatever, but you hear her voice. You hear Derek's voice, but you don't see legs. You don't see any part of him. And I found out only recently the TV show Knight Rider with Dustin Hoffman with David Hasselhoff. Wow, sorry, little brain fart there. Um, Mr. Feeney was his Bill Daniels was the voice of Kit the car. He actually was not on the set with the rest of them. He recorded all of his lines ahead of time, and then they used them. So I'm curious, and I would, if anybody knows, I would like to find this out. Do did George Ball record his lines and not even be on set, so they were really covering him because he wasn't there, or was he actually there and they really were indeed covering him? So if anybody knows that, could let me know. I'm trying to find that out. But Derek says he loves the bar, and the best thing about it is its owner. And they cheer, and then all return to the pool room. Diane tells Sam that Derek wants to fly her out to Martha's Vineyard, and he asks if he wants to fly her out on his jet or on his back. And Diane says that Derek wants to show off his new jet. Sam claims he doesn't care if they date or not. Diane says Sam is afraid of his feelings, but Sam claims he doesn't have a feeling either way. She turns to return to the pool room. Sam says, "Please don't go." When she asks him about what he said, she tell um he tells her to get over her ego. She turns again to leave, and Sam says, "Please stay here." He denies saying anything again. She turns to leave, and he says, "If you go, I'll die." Poor Diane's being like gaslit here because she's like totally sure she's hearing things and he keeps denying it. But he denies it again and he tells her, "Go, have fun." So once again she turns to leave and then says, "If you'll excuse me, I'd better go freshen up." She starts to leave, but then she says, "I'd rather stay with you." Sam asks her what she said. She says, "I didn't say anything," and leaves the room. This scene was amazing. Ted Danson and Shelley Long did such a great job with those little lines like that. Coach, Carl, and Sam are leaving for the evening. Coach asks Sam to go see a girly show. Definitely not what they're probably, at least as far as I know, I'm not very familiar with those shows, but I don't think you'd call them girly anymore. Not because it's not girls, but because they're women, and girly sounds kind of like an insult. But again, 1983. Sam tells him he has a date, but Coach says he might still go, and Sam says it's a tough neighborhood and Coach shouldn't go without protection. So Coach invites Carla. I always love that Carla's protection for some of the guys. But Carla says not tonight, so Coach says maybe another time, and he leaves. Carla asks if Sam wants her to stay until his date arrives. He tells her no. She asks him what he sees in Diane. Sam says he isn't sure, but some days Diane just irritates the hell out of me. Carl understands. She was married to Nick Dortelli. That explains it all. Next season, he'll be here. She asks Sam if he has ever thought about the two of them, and Sam says he has. Carla asks, in a recent moment, Sam says, "I was always afraid you'd be too much woman for me," and Carla calls him wise. And this is one of, I think it is the first time you actually, it's very downplayed, but you see Carla has a crush on Sam. Like, it's definitely downplayed. She doesn't make a big deal out of it. I don't even know if Sam's aware of it, honestly. But it's a nice little thing that you kind of subtle thing that you get there. So Carla leaves and Deborah comes in. She tells him it's a good thing her boyfriend is a sound sleeper. Sam tells her that he just didn't want to be alone. He kisses her, and as he does, a jet can be heard passing overhead. Sam looks up, and that's the end of part one. I gave this episode 5 out of 5 beer nuts. And I especially loved how the main cast members all came out one at a time to talk to Sam. So it's kind of cool. I mean, basically, Sam was it in the show for most of the episode, and it was just every so often one person came out, except for when the whole group came out. I did, I almost gave the MVP to Ted Danson because he kind of carried it there. I mean, he was in most of the, like I said, everybody came out to him. But I had to give this MVP award for this episode to Rhea Perlman. Her comments to Sam and everything are awesome. I mean, the I'll pass a note in gym class, calling him a weenie. Everything she says is just so well. It's very definitely Carla, and she does. Real Perlman delivers those lines perfectly. Best dressed in this episode, Diane Chambers. My favorite line, a Carla line. In fact, the runner-up is as well. Carla says, "My entire life has been the wrong man at the wrong time in the wrong place with the wrong birth control device." The runner-up for favorite line, Carla says, referring to Derek, um, Sam, referring to Sam, hating Derek, I should say. "Why does he hate him?" Coach says, "He was cruel to him. When Sam was a kid, he used to hold his head under water." Wait, that was my brother. Come to think of it, that was my head. Here's a little known fact. Carla mentions that Derek got drunk with Anais Nin. Nin was a poet. He died in 1977. I had to look that up because I was like, what is she talking about? I thought it was some kind of a drink that he drank, Ananias, and I was like, check that out, see what it is. Question of the week. Based on what we know of Derek, who do you think is more attractive, Sam or Derek? And if you want, I checked online. You can actually Google George Ball's picture, and you can actually see the picture that goes with that wonderful singing voice. If you like this episode, please like, comment, subscribe. And as always, you can follow us on Facebook. Cheers, that's one woman's opinion. There we go. You can follow us on Instagram at Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast. And you can also follow us on Twitter, now called X, at One Woman's Opinion. And you can email us at Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast at gmail.com. I had to make new index cards because um the apartment building that I live in once a year, they do a bug spray to prevent bugs from getting in. And today was the day, and I had to move everything, and I have no idea what happened to the cards. So if they look different, that's why. Next week, we will be doing the final episode of Cheers, Season 1, Episode 22. Not the final episode of Cheers Forever, just the final episode of the first season, I mean. Showdown Part 2. And I will announce it again next week, but I have a guest coming in 2 weeks for a recap episode. I put out a thing for favorite seasons, what your favorite season was, and the response I got from season one, I did a thing, random drawing or whatever. It's a wheel thing. It's online. It's in random generator. It's called, and I got this person's name. I will let you know next week who. But that person will be with me to do a recap of season one. And I have another surprise coming, but I'll let you know that when I know more information. And that's one woman's opinion.